It is hard to believe that a year has already passed, but it was 1 year ago today we got the shocking news that Michael Jackson had died. He was just 50 years old and preparing for his new world tour.
From the ABC News Vault, World News Now coverage of Jackson's life and death from June 26, 2009.
Michael Jackson's fans have been coming out here en masse to the hospital where the pop star was pronounced dead ever since word got out about what happened. They've been celebrating his life with signs and with music and dance and even candles. It's been kind of a party, in fact. They tried to revive him. He wasn't breathing. They brought him here to this hospital where doctors worked on him for more than an hour without any success. He was pronounced dead just after 2 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. So what is the official cause of death? They're not saying right now. It's going to take an autopsy for that. On Thursday evening, a sheriff's department helicopter came here to the hospital to take Michael Jackson's body to the coroner's office. That's where the autopsy will take place sometime later today. Now, meanwhile, over at Michael Jackson's house, Los Angeles police are conducting what they're calling a routine death investigation, though they are stressing right now that at this point there is no indication, no evidence of any criminal wrongdoing.
At times during his career, Michael Jackson was one of the biggest pop stars in the world, starting with his brothers in the Jackson 5 in the 1960s and continuing with a solo career that began in the 1970s. Michael Jackson became a worldwide star. In his adult life, Michael Jackson was always the subject of tabloid news coverage, from his ever-changing appearance to his fascination with small children. Starting with appearances on The Ed Sullivan Show, the Jackson 5 consistently topped the charts in the 1960s and 70s. They even opened for Diana Ross and the Supremes. Jackson became a superstar in his own right, making his famous moonwalk for the first time on Motown's 25th anniversary special. His album Thriller won 8 Grammy Awards and holds the record for best-selling album of all time. Michael Jackson surprised the world in 1994 when he married Elvis Presley's daughter, Lisa Marie. They divorced after less than 2 years. Just months later, in 1996, Jackson announced that his friend Deborah Rowe was expecting the first of their 2 children. They would eventually marry and divorce. He would increasingly be in the spotlight for his strange behavior, his changing physical looks, rather than his music. But in his prime, Michael Jackson was a dazzling singer and a breakthrough dancer. He was, as his nickname implied, the king of pop. Brian Rooney, ABC News, Hollywood.
You have said, I grew up in a fishbowl. I will not allow that to happen to my son. Yet when your son was born, you sold pictures to the National Enquirer and to other European papers,
Right.
tabloids. Why did you do that?
Why?
Why?
Because there was a race. There were some illegal pictures out. Illegally, somebody had taken pictures of a baby for millions of dollars and said, here's Michael's son.
And it wasn't, as I
It
remember.
wasn't. So I took the pictures of the baby, said, they're forcing me to get his pictures. There's helicopters flying above us, flying over my house, flying over the hospital, machines and satellites all over even the hospital said, Michael, we've had every kind of celebrity here. We've never had it like this. This is unbelievable. And so I said, here, take it. And I gave the money to charity.
When people hear that children from other families have come and they've stayed in your house, they've stayed in your bedroom.
Well, very few.
But, you know, some have, and they say, is that really appropriate for a man, a grown man, to be doing that? How do you respond to that?
I feel sorry for them because that's judging someone who wants to really help people. Why can't you share your bed? The most loving thing to do is to share your bed with someone. You know?
Really, you really think that?
Yeah, of course.
You're taking the position that you use every single night that you go into. You sleep, and you're sharing it with another.
You said you can have my bed if you want. Sleep in it.
But the boy would soon recant on these feelings. Eventually, he would allege that Michael Jackson had sexually abused him. Jackson was eventually acquitted of all charges. He promised that he'd go back to doing what he does best, singing and dancing like nobody else. He was expecting to return to London next month, the city where we'd first met, to put on what he described as his last shows of all time. Today's tragedy means we'll never see the genius dance again, but it's equally true that his legacy is unlikely ever to be surpassed.
And on this one-year anniversary, 2020 is doing a fascinating documentary on Michael Jackson, The Afterlife. It's tonight at 9 o'clock, 8 p.m. Central. And they talk to really the people in the inner circle that, in essence, have never spoken before. People like his personal makeup artist, his stylist, and then some of today's top artists, like Justin Bieber and Usher, and how influential he was in their work.
Yeah, all of them talking about his remarkable career. A number of events taking place around the country today to celebrate his life, including here in New York at the Apollo Theater, a private memorial scheduled at Forest Lawn Cemetery in California, where he's been laid to rest, as well as in his hometown of Gary, Indiana. A number of celebrations of his life around the country.